Welcome everyone. Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. It is Tuesday. We are at Coffee with Cramer. This is episode 48. Can you believe 2 more away from the big 5-0? So welcome to joining in today on Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. I'm Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. Colleen Schaefer, my partner in all these real estate things, sends her best today. She's out and about. Like I mentioned yesterday with a client, just looking for a place to move into. So they're going through the purchase process right now. And wanted to catch up with some additional news and information that we didn't get a chance to cover yesterday. And also we've got some latest news. So why don't we dive in real quick. But if this is your first time on Coffee with Cramer and Colleen, do us a big favor. Hit the like button. Also, do us a big favor, comment below. If you've got a cup of coffee or your favorite breakfast beverage, take a selfie, take a pic, throw it up there. We'd love to see what you're sharing today. So, again, a little shorter episode today. So, fired up the little Nespresso machine. So, cheers to you today. So, last week, we talked about an article that was published indicating what home prices may do in Las Vegas and a little bit nationally from a big resource, and that's CoreLogic. CoreLogic is a big data collection management company that is very tied into the real estate market. A lot of their data services power a lot of what we call the multiple listing services. You may have heard the term MLS. So, they see what's going on with real estate in many markets, and they were projecting next year that home prices in a couple of the hardest hit markets, that being the markets of Orlando and Las Vegas, may see a decline in prices early next year. That is due to businesses that were heavily impacted by travel and tourism, things of that nature. Now, with Nevada and going into, we're pretty much well into phase 2 right now. We have got more hotels and casinos reopening. We had another bunch this last week. We're going to see what happens with the state going back to work. And I know we're going to get hopefully some new updated unemployment numbers towards the end of this week and kind of see where the trend lines are continuing to point. That being said, we had an article here, or a slide here I want to throw up that has a series of different sources looking at home prices at a national level, so you at least kind of get an idea of what these surveys, associations, consultants, enterprises are thinking on real estate prices in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I want to throw that slide up. And we're going to throw it up here. It's going to take up a little bit of the screen. And I'm going to kind of move over here. Bring my coffee. And we'll kind of go over those numbers real quick. So they cited 6 sources. And one of them is Home Price Expectation Survey. So there was a survey put out. The other big group that we like to follow, Mortgage Bankers Association. Consulting firm, Zelman & Associates. And then you have Fannie and Freddie. Those are the government service entities, or the GSEs. Those are the big backers of a lot of mortgages that people purchase homes from. And we also have the National Association of Realtors. So this is what they're looking at. And as you can see, a lot of them have different opinions based on what their numbers are showing and where they feel things are going to be in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Now, the Home Price Expectation Survey is showing a slight decline in prices in 2021. However, they show in 2020. In 2021, they see prices to appreciate by just shy of 1% in 2021, and in 2022, 2.88%. Now, if we move down to the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're showing price appreciation. Again, these are national numbers. This year of 4.3%, then in 2021 3.2%, and then 2022 that goes down a little bit to 2.4%. Zelman and Associates, I believe it's Ivy Zelman, She is kind of a guru on the real estate market, and is you may see her a lot on various real estate sites or business sites like CNBC and such. Zelman Associates is showing a 3% increase in 2020, with a stronger increase in 2021 of 4.2%, and then 2022 of 4.6%. Now, if we get down to I want to kind of take Fannie and Freddie as one, because again, they're government entities, and they're kind of like the big backers of the mortgages. They're being a little more conservative, with showing a 0.4% increase in appreciation in 2020, both of them. And then in 2021, though, Fannie is showing a 2.1% increase in appreciation, whereas Freddie Mac is showing a 0.7%. So it's kind of interesting that they start diverging. And then lastly, the National Association of Realtors, the NAR, is showing this year a 3.8% increase in appreciation, and next year, 2021, showing a 2.1% increase. So, we've got all these numbers all over the board. And if we kind of take a look at 2021, we're, the trend line is sort of looking like we're going to probably see maybe on average overall a 0.0 to 2 point increase at a national level. If you factor in the decrease from home price survey, you got a couple, 3-4% increase, and then we got Fannie and Freddie at 0.4. So I think if you average that out, they're definitely a little more bullish in 2021. And in 2022, we've got some data, but that's probably a little too far out for some people to project, because they're probably looking for some more data before they can make a calculation. So if we're looking at 2020 at a national level this year, and we see what's going on here in Las Vegas, in 2020 March, we were at $319,000. And then in April, we dropped just about 3 percentage points to 310. Now in May, we've rebounded back to 315. So what is that, and why is that? Well, right now, it's really kind of coming down to the old factors, for better or worse, of supply and demand. So we're going to look at our numbers week over week tomorrow on the show, and this afternoon we have our brokers meeting. So we love to talk a lot about the datas, but from with our brokers, Dave, Tina, senior and junior, and kind of talk about the stats. Looks like the trend line is still continuing. We are not putting enough houses onto the market to meet demand. That is what's going on in Las Vegas. We are seeing more people wanting to buy. Part of it is they're in good position. They have good credit. They've got their loans going. They are moving ahead with these low interest rates. We're seeing low. We talked about yesterday, interest rates at that 3.0% mark, some even lower, taking advantage of that and buying in. And that's really in that core market segment around the median price, which is 315 plus or minus. So you're seeing a lot of demand there and a lot of movement, and we're not putting enough of those houses on the market. As we start moving upstream, demand is starting to pick up, just not as high. But that is, and then coupled with that is that segment of population too isn't quite putting as many houses on the market either. So we are in an interesting situation here as the state is starting to reopen. We're kind of now in the summer months. This is kind of the high part of the selling season. Typically, we would see more houses on the market, but we don't. Demand, though, is continuing to pick up and tick up, and even with some of the latest news in COVID, around the state and nationally, that is still, demand is still continuing to shrug it off, at least at the moment. But I wanted to kind of share that slide and those data points with you, because if we look at this, CoreLogic is showing one thing, and they were showing one thing specifically for Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I don't have Las Vegas numbers from these sources on projected appreciation. However, if you look at it nationally, they're feeling that housing is still going to be appreciating. And the shortage of homes available is not just limited to Las Vegas. It's actually a nationwide situation. We had a shortage already going into 2020, and that was just raw numbers from Lawrence Yoon, chief economist with NAR, was citing that. Several other sources that we just didn't have enough homes for people to buy into. Now, we've kind of got a little bit of that as a microcosm here in Las Vegas. So when I look at, like, say, the CoreLogic number, while that's interesting, that's an outlier, or it's a point to be aware of. However, we're also factoring in these other points here, and right now they show, at least in the big picture, because of low inventory, continued appreciation. And if we continue to see that low inventory number, appreciation will hit us here in Las Vegas. Now, again, what's gonna weigh that down? Well, that could be probably unemployment, probably being our biggest factor, and then secondly, whether that's first or second or neck and neck, I can't really say right now, is the COVID numbers. And if the COVID numbers start affecting hospitalization, we may see a slowing of reopening, or maybe some phased interruptions. We don't know what that looks like, but let's hope that we're keeping COVID in check from hospitalization, these low interest rate numbers, and continuing to go forward. The other item I wanted to throw up there too is our searches. So this is from Showing Time, and Showing Time is a system that we use both here in Las Vegas and nationally, and they track showings and scheduled appointments to present houses. So if you look at this little chart here, the darker blue or black, as it might show up on your screen, was our 2019 weekly average, and then the orange was the 2020 weekly average. And as you can see, when COVID and the shutdown of the city and the state began, sort of that second week of March, you can see the big dip happening and going down to a really big low around between March 23rd and about April 15th. And then you kind of started to see a recovery. Now, if we go into this week, the weekly average in 2020, compared to the first week of January, showings were up 33.7% in 2019, and in 2020, showings were up 29%. So we're only a few percentage points off from last year's number of searching and demand, and that correlates with the number of homes we have going into contract. So this is a good indicator of showing who is out there looking at homes, and to know that we are within a few percentage points of last year's number right now in showing activity, in light of the fact that we still don't have open houses. But we do have things like our latest listings. We put up video, we put up 3D tours, photography, things of that nature. Demand is still there. And in fact, in some states, a state like Utah, even California, they are actually exceeding showings this year versus last year. But it's good news for a area hit as hard, or a state hit as hard as Nevada, to be seeing that our search averages for showings and listing appointments are near our weekly numbers from 2019. So again, that's an important stat I wanted to share out there with the group. Now, lastly, we want to chat about is the governor yesterday. So yesterday afternoon, Governor Sisolak wanted to give everyone a bit of kind of a mid-month update on COVID-19 and sort of where the state and governor's office is sitting with the reopening of the state. So Governor Sisolak in yesterday's meeting stated that Nevada is not yet ready to enter the phase 3 of business reopenings. So now, right now, we're in phase 2, which has included a lot of facilities like gyms, taverns, restaurants reopening, casinos, hotels, things of that nature. So at the press conference yesterday in Carson City, Governor Sisolak said still needing to wait a little bit before deciding on phase 3. Governor also noted, and this is important to note, that he's going to be calling lawmakers back to the Capitol in the month of June because of the state budget deficit that has now appeared, and that there's a close to $900 million gap that needs to be closed just for the fiscal year that concludes at the end of June. So with that in mind, lawmakers will be going back into session up in Carson City to work on that. Now, the governor also, again, getting back on COVID, said he is quoted as saying, "We had expectations that as a result of reopening and an increase in testing, our positive cases were likely to increase. And we have seen an increase in positive cases. However, that is yet to negatively impact the capacity in the hospitals." So while COVID numbers and statistics, cases are starting to increase in Nevada, it is yet to really manifest itself in increase in hospitalizations. So that's going to be an important thing. That's probably going to be the most important thing that's going to be looked at. Now, we're looking at a lot of cases, but it's the hospitalization number that's going to probably decide the phase 3 reopening of the state. And they stated here in this article too that I'm reading from is from the Nevada Independent. And we're going to put a link to this article here in the notes and comments from the show here afterwards. So also notice that the state's hospitalizations had begun to slowly tick upward, with the state just on Monday, yesterday, seeing 14 additional hospitalizations. So basically, the timeline will be dictated by the virus as of phase 3. Unfortunately, we all don't think that the virus is really answering. Maybe it's on T-Mobile. Sorry, a little joke from yesterday's outage. So it's maybe not taking everyone's messages. But again, the virus works on its own. We don't really have much communication with that matter. The best thing we can do is do what is being recommended by state and medical officials as such. Now, so that's kind of pretty much about it. Also, too, I think this is an important note, is the eviction moratorium. So Nevada's moratorium on evictions coincides with the state emergency and is effective through June 30. Now, the governor did not say if it would be extended beyond that. He did say they're looking into it and analyzing, but we'll have another announcement before the June 30 deadline as it relates to the eviction moratorium directive. So for those with investment properties, rentals, condos, and such, that's something you're going to want to keep an ear out for over the next 10 days to know if the moratorium will be lifted or if it will be extended. So that I want to make sure everyone was aware of. Well, that's it for today's episode of Coffee with Cramer and Colleen. If you have any questions or thoughts on some of the things we talked about, I'd love to hear where you're thinking on real estate numbers. I know a lot of people were thinking that it's we're looking at a big drop off, but right now it's not showing itself. And if we look at what several surveys and economists and organizations show, they're showing at least flat to some level of appreciation in 2020 with an increase in 2021. We know we are moving into some interesting times here now that we're in the summer, and to the 90-day period before election is always an interesting period as well, and that has an effect all across the nation, including the housing market here in Las Vegas. Now, on tomorrow's episode, episode number 49, we're going to go over the week-over-week real estate numbers. So that's going to be an interesting topic. So you have the latest as to what's going on in the Las Vegas housing market. So if you have questions about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, do us a big favor. Reach out to us. Give us a call. You can go also to our website at buysellrealestate.vegas. If you're on our Facebook page, you can direct message us. We'd love to chat with you because right now, more than ever, your real estate experience matters. So give us a call if we can help you answer questions that you've got about making the decision about buying, selling, or investing. So on behalf of Colleen Schaefer, I'm Don Cramer with the Cramer Group at Urban Nest Realty. We wish you all a great day, and until tomorrow, have a wonderful day, and until next time, enjoy. Thanks. Bye-bye.